Hello everyone. In today's class, we are here with the chapter The Hundred Dresses. The chapter is composed by L. Sor Easter, was an American children's author. Her books were based on her life in small town, that is Connecticut, in the early 90s. This work, The Hundred Dresses, won Newbery honor to the writer. So let's start. There are certain starting questions for us before we read. How do we judge the people? Dear children, you all must have heard a famous line: appearances are deceptive. We generally do a mistake in identifying people. We see their appearance and we conclude about their nature only on the basis of their appearance, their dress, or the titles they have. But actually, we are wrong. A genuine person should not estimate anyone on the basis of all this. We generally judge people by the money, by the wealth, by the positions, their clothing, their dressing, and all. Or do we see something more enduring value in them? Do we search any other enduring value in them to identify or to distinguish? The story is a sensitive account of such a poor young girl, and she's Polish community girl, and her name is Wanda Petronsky, and other schoolmates realize that they understand that her name is too large. And how did other children see Wanda as different in many ways? Many ways means dressing, their speaking, all other ways. And how can we guess how they treat her? We'll do it in this. Before we start our chapter account, we'll read the first part of this article. It will help us understanding which community the world belonged to. The first Polish immigrants arrived in America in 1608, but the largest wave of Polish immigration occurred in the early 20th century when more than 1 million Poles migrated to the United States. The Polish state did not exist at the time, and the immigrants were identified according to their country or origin. They're not identified on the basis of their ethnicity, their ethnic groups. Ethnicity means the specific specialty in them in a particular race. So they were identified as Russians, Poles, German Poles, or Austrian Poles only. Means you imagine how tough it would be for such community to survive. The people who have don't have any ethnicity, who have their ethnicity, but people do not recognize them on the basis of the common characteristics of their group, that race, that is Polish. And here is a story of a girl, how she is treated. Those she has nothing to do with those political causes, but still she has to undergo through that torture in the school, ill treatment. So in this story, Wanda was a girl. She was a Polish girl. Her full name was Wanda Petrowski. Her parents lived in a little American town. The children at Wanda school were all Americans. So I hope you understand this majority and minority concept. All were Americans. Wanda was the only girl belonged to Polish community, and the Polish community has no identity in the views of those people. The girl is a new admitted to the school, so she would generally prefer to see at last in the seat. She was a backbencher. She would come late all the time. Her feet were not well. Her feet were unpleasantly, dirty, so she would prefer to sit at last. Other children who were very talkative in the class, very all the time dominant in the class, so she would generally prefer to be quiet. Her parents lived in a little American town. The children at Wanda's school were all Americans, so they thought that Wanda had a strange name, and that was not easy to say because comparatively to her name, their names were quite easy to pronounce, very small names of one syllables. But her name was little lengthy, like Wanda Petronsky, so other people find it a very good stuff for humor. They thought that so they would make fun of her. Also, Wanda was a very poor girl, so she always wore a faded blue dress and it looked shabby but clean. But still, other friends started making fun of her. So, there are two more students, classmates, good friends called Maddie and Peggy. So, Maddie and Peggy were two of the girls in the Wanda's class. Peggy would always tease Wanda for her poor dress. She, with a crowd of girls, would generally surround her and ask one question in a very jokingly manner. What was the question? How many dresses do you have hanging up in your closet, Wanda? And Wanda would say very poorly, 100. At this, the girls would burst out laughing. Why? Because they well knew that Wanda had only one dress. Still, Wanda said, and other children laughed at her. She would say 100 dresses, there is a reason for it. We'll find it later. And other students always laugh because they knew that she has only one answer for her dresses, that is 100 dresses. And in their opinion, the girl would wore only one dress every day. So that is the cause of their laughter. Now, sometimes they ask about her shoes, and girls burst laugh and ask her about her shoes. Like, how many shoes did you say you had? And she says, 60 pairs, all lined up in my closet. So this was the answer of Wanda. Wanda would say, thus, this game actually went on day after day. Means every time this was a course of action that her friends gather around her, would ask her question about her dress, about her shoes, and she would all the time repeatedly answer 100 dresses and 60 pairs of shoes, all lined up in her closet. So after listening, all the students have this pre-thought in their mind and they come and amuse themselves by asking these humiliating questions to her, and she would all the time, being very intelligent and calm girl, would answer like this only. She would reiterate in other ways too, but she did not prefer to do so. And it was always Peggy who took the lead in teasing Wanda. So Peggy would all the time start this teasing Wanda, and her friend Maddie did sometimes feel that they were actually being cruel to Wanda. Like you can see in this line that what was thought in her mind. I that those mocking polite voice Maddie every time felt embarrassed and studied the marbles in the palm on her hand. So she would miss not like it the way she and her friend would tease her. But just for being a friend, she had to accompany her friend called Peggy. Otherwise, Maddie was not interested in it. So, but still, Maddie had to be a part of this wrongdoing. However, she wished Peggy would stop teasing Wanda Petrosky. Maddie herself was a poor girl and she knew how bad Wanda could be feeling at the staging because she was a poor girl and that's why she can realize the pain. Only the bearer knows where the shoe pinches. Similarly, only this girl, because Maddie was again a poor girl, so she could better realize it how Wanda would be feeling at the point of time when her friend Peggy would teach her asking questions about her dress. She knew very well that she was a poor girl and she herself was a poor girl too. But even though she could not resist her friend, she could not stop her friend. Why? So, once she tried to write a note to Peggy, means Mary wrote a note to her friend Peggy about that they should not tease the girl and it is not fair to tease her on the basis of her clothing, dressing up, and all. But still, she tore the page, tore it, that because she knew very well she would become the new target for Peggy and the other girls, and that she could not bear. So, out of this fear, actually, she could not stop, could not resist her own friends. The reason is very clear. She thought that if they would stop teasing Wanda Petronsky, they would start making that girl, means Maddie, as their next target, and other girls too. So, this fear actually grabbed her and she could not do it firmly. Next in the story, there was a drawing contest at school for boys and girls. The boys were in had to draw boats and the girls were to design dresses in colors. This is what you can see in the story as well. And from among the girls, everyone well knew and everyone thought that Peggy, the girl who teased Wanda Petrosky a lot, Peggy would win the contest because she could draw the faces of film stars and also copy from magazines. Everyone knows it that she could design well. But when the result was announced, it was Wanda who had won. Surprisingly, the girl whom they tortured a lot, teased a lot in the school, made fun of her, that silent girl who was absent that day in the school. So that girl was winner. She had submitted not one or two designs, but 100. You know, you must have realized one thing, that every now and then she would answer that she had 100 dresses. So this time, really, she had shown the 100 dresses. She made the drawings of those 100 dresses. And like she would answer to those, each in different colors. She would answer this to her friends when they would laugh at her. And similarly, you can see the same here. Each were different from other. In the opinion of the judges, each one was worthy of winning the prize. That was a very Herculean task done by her, surprisingly. But and they all realized about their mistake, that how they tortured the girl and how intelligent the girl was, what an intelligent way the girl had to answer them, and she was the winner of the girls medal. But unfortunately, Wanda has been absent from school for some days and is not there to receive the applause. This is due to her. That is, due means given on next term. Let us hope she will be back tomorrow. Now, class, you may file around the room quickly and look at her exquisite drawings. So, this is a remark by teacher. So, she was absent that day, and her enemies, not enemies in that sense, the people who teach her every time, they were still back today, they realized. The children burst into applause. Everyone appreciated Wanda surprisingly, and even the boys were glad to have a chance to stamp on the floor, put their fingers in their mouth, and whistle. Means boys even started whistling, stamp on the floor, means started dancing on this all. Though they were not interested in dresses, though they were not interested in dresses, but seeing a new winner there, they enjoyed a lot. Look, Peg, means Peggy, whisper Maddie. And Maddie whispered to her friend, There is Here is that blue one, and she told us about. Isn't it beautiful? So when she told it, when they would ask her every now and then, those that time she would answer, one is blue, one is pink, like color wise. So her friend Maddie told Peggy that, see, this was the dress. Dress means drawing. Yes, said Peggy. And here is that green one, boy. And I thought I could draw. So she thought she could draw, but see the result. The girl has done a better drawing than them. So that was a speculous task by her. You well knew that whenever they ask about her dress, Wanda feels very bad about these dresses game. And she knows the girls are making fun of her faded blue dress. They keep asking her how many dresses or where is the closet and all. Wanda is a poor girl, but she is intelligent too. She is the only Polish girl in the class, and all other girls are Americans. So they laugh at her because they think her name is unusual, strange. Wanda never reacts. This is a greatness. She remains quiet every time she makes up the story of 100 dresses. She knows the girls won't believe it and would make fun of her. And when the real story of 100 dresses comes to in front of their eyes, comes to the light, they have to feel small. Then the girl realized them their smallness, as in the teacher's remark you can see teacher called her work exquisite, and teacher's opinion, his each and every drawing, not the total of 100, each and every drawing is worth winning the prize. So this made those children realize that one should not make fun of others dress, others status, or others living and lodging or clothing. So I hope you all must have taken a very good note of it, must have learnt a very good lesson. We'll continue it in next second video, second chapter. Thank you for joining it. Thank you. Enjoy reading.